Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guests today have authored 6 books and host the Real Estate Investing Hour radio show in Atlanta. They coach and train hundreds of investors and business owners across the United States and Canada. Anne and Mark Lackey, did I screw it up? No, I got it right. Just as we were talking about it. I'll start again.
Well, if you start again, the Real Estate Investing Hour no longer is on the air. So
it's not?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to correct you, but yeah, that was the show that we did for several years. We are not currently doing that. The radio station sold and da-da-da-da. So.
I apologize then.
No, it's okay.
I wonder where that came from.
It's in our bio.
It's in our bio. You know, all the replays are up on Tunes.
Yeah, they're on iTunes, but it's been a while.
It's a little dated now.
Oh, okay. So. Do you want me to still throw it in there? It sounds good.
It doesn't matter, but I don't want people thinking we're still on the air. So
okay. Or we'll keep it in. Okay. Let me go over in the back of my mind because we were talking about mispronouncing last names, so I second-guessed myself. Okay.
Murphy's Law.
Yeah, that's right. All right, here we go again. Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our. Now I'm on one of those tongue-tied things. Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guests today have authored 6 books and host the Real Estate Investing Hour radio show in Atlanta. They coach and train hundreds of investors and business owners across the United States and Canada. Anne and Mark Lackey joins us today. Anne and Mark, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Seth. We're so excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I'm excited, and I have to say this is the first time we've had a tag team on the show.
Yeah, we're a dynamic duo over here. We love doing it together.
That's great. So I'm sure with both of you on the show, we'll have some interesting banter back and forth. Maybe we'll get some dissenting opinions or something. Maybe
you might.
Well, we learned how to do this on the radio because you can never have dead space. So we learned how to signal each other and keep it going. So,
this will be a fun half hour then. So to kick things off, do you want to tell us a little bit about your real estate goals right now? And I know you've got your other virtual assistant business. So maybe kind of loop that all in together.
Sure. So I'll get started and then Mark can add in. So about 20 years ago now, Mark and I realized that we were tired of working for every dollar in corporate America and that there needed to be another way. Long story short, we started thinking about passive income and how can we get out of the rat race. So we made a plan and we accelerated that plan pretty quickly. And so now we are, everything we do really has a passive income component. And Mark, why don't you tell them about kind of where we are now?
Yeah, so we started buying the rental homes, as she mentioned. We bought 4 in the first month, overachievers. We still have those. We would flip homes to get money to buy more, and it became a habit of collecting homes. So we continued to do that. It slowed down a little bit during the bust, and then somebody recommended to us that it was a good turning point for us. Said, well, you know, you've got a lot of properties, but you should do like you do stocks. When the values are down, you should buy more in dollar cost average. So we went out at that point, borrowed money from every friend we had and started buying more rentals. And we bought and bought and bought until the prices shot way up. We've been continuing to buy. And the plans right now are to acquire once the so-called recession gets here. So we slowed down a little bit this last year, and we're looking forward to a slowdown to get some more opportunities out there.
Yeah. And you mentioned right at the start, you had your game plan and you kind of exceeded expectations. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about how you even created that plan and what you did to, kind of knock it out of the park?
Yeah, I'll start with that. So our first idea was to buy 2 houses a year for 10 years and then sell 10 to pay off the first 10. And we figured with 10 houses, we would be okay. Like that would be a nice retirement goal. Interestingly enough, we went to probably 3 to 5 financial advisors, and nobody could figure out how rental real estate fit into our retirement plan. So we realized early on that that was something that we were just going to have to figure out for ourselves. So we kind of backed into that number based on kind of what our living expenses were and how much cash flow and principal pay down and all the things that kind of go into that. Yeah. As Mark mentioned, we bought 4 houses our first month in the business, which I don't necessarily recommend for newbies. That was kind of a little bit of a crazy situation. But we are opportunists, and when an opportunity arises, we take advantage of it.
They were all 4 on the same street across from each other. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We've since acquired several more on that same street, so we actually are thinking about renaming it Lackey Lane.
Yeah, some people see, you buying houses? I want to get rid of this one, or you can take the, and it just, people contacted us, so we ended up buying a bunch on that street. So
yeah, and when people talk about a niche market, that's ultra niche, on the same street.
Well, and again, we don't necessarily recommend that for people all the time, but for us and our opportunity, it kind of made sense. We figured if we had one house that was vacant, we were 100% responsible for that mortgage. If we had 4 houses, the chances of all 4 of them being vacant at the same time was probably not really feasible, and so the others could carry it, and that's kind of why we decided to do that. So that kind of got us started, and then we kind of got the bug. We kind of said, okay, we got this. Interestingly enough, after we got really good at kind of acquiring property and managing property, we managed at that point kind of working class homes. We made them a little nicer than everybody else's. We wanted to be a really good top quality landlord for these people and treat them fairly and make the repairs, do everything that we would want as people living in there. And I've never bought a house that I personally would not live in. Now granted, closets may not be awesome or whatever, but it's clean, it's functional, it's in an area
safe,
that's good, it's safe. Yeah. So in any event, our first business that we started was actually a property management business because our friend said, well, you're really good at this. Can you do it for me? And that's kind of been the way a lot of our businesses have started. So we start something and we have friends that go, hey, you're really good at that. Can you help us out? And so we ended up opening a property management business back in 2005. Today, that business manages 225 rental homes. Not all ours, unfortunately, but we do have a nice portfolio of homes that we have. So
yeah,
how we got started.
And as you were building that business and your portfolio, did you have any routines? Because working in tandem, you have to have really good communication. So what sort of things did you do to make sure you were on the same page and that you were always driving towards those goals?
Well, when we got started, there wasn't an internet. So if you wanted to find out what houses were valued at, you'd have to go pull flyers out of their front yard, the little boxes, right? And the MLS was a big, looked like a telephone book, and you'd go to, this is telling stories, but you would go to the MLS store or place and look in their garbage afterwards to get 1 or 2 week old MLS book to find out what stuff was selling for, because there wasn't an opportunity. But we would take and we would trade off as we drove to and from our jobs, driving different routes and picking up those flyers and getting to know neighborhoods. So we would do that. And then once we got back and started looking at what the opportunities were and what we should be doing, we started dividing our business up. And this became real important because each of us are really go-getters. We were both in corporate sales. We were both commission-based and all. So we're go-getters. We're used to doing things. But we have different skills. And so when we divided up the skill set, we looked and said, okay, Anne's best at this, Mark's best at this. And so we divided those jobs up just like you would in any business. Put you as the manager, Anne's the manager over some departments, she makes the final say so. I'm manager over certain departments, I make the final say so.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, though, is what routines do we have? What kind of helped us be successful? Mark's absolutely right. And division of labor was a key component to, and still is a key component to our success. But I think one of the things that we had 2 things that really helped us. One is we had a goal. Like we knew what we were shooting for, right? And every decision we make is, does this get us closer or farther away from our goal? So that helped us really kind of stay on track and with the decision-making process.
We called it our prime objective.
Yeah, Prime Directive. Actually,
Prime Directive, excuse me.
We're Trek fans, so we kind of use that. I know, we're geeky.
The Prime Directive. So if it didn't fit, like she said, we didn't do it.
And that made decisions very, very simple. The next thing that we did is we didn't just let things happen. Every week, and we still do this to this day, like we sit down and we go, okay, where are we going? What is our Prime Directive? Are we still on course? What has to happen in our business to move it forward towards that goal? And I think that people kind of go, well, that's, silly. It's so simple. It is simple, but it's not necessarily easy.
To go through where you're at, where you're going every week. You have quarterly goals, review those, to have mid-year goals, to have annual goals. Most people don't want to do that because mostly they see that, it burdens them because it's additional work. But then it really can help you move things forward, and people don't realize that.
And another piece of that is having an accountability group.
Yeah.
So we have an accountability partner. Actually, it's a couple that are in Idaho. And so every week, today is the day actually that we report, hey, here's what we're doing day 7 of 28, because we report every 4 weeks. Here's where we are and what we said we were going to do. So having somebody else that you're committing and saying out loud those goals and then giving that progress, I think has really benefited us in the long run.
Gotcha. And which Starfleet captain would you say best describes your real estate investing? Kirk, Picard, or Cisco?
Picard! I love Picard. No, hands down. He might say something different, but I love Picard.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the first time we've had Star Trek talk on the show. So that's
okay.
Yeah.
But that really does help. We've got friends that'll come to us and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and how does all that fit into what your ultimate goal is? And they don't really have a good ultimate goal worked out. And without that, for us, it was 2 houses a year, 10 years in a row to have 20 rental homes. I mean, that was pretty firm. Some years you might only get 1, you get 3 the next, it wasn't exactly had to have 2 that year, but at the end, we wanted those 20 properties. The goal was to have enough passive income that we could retire and not have to continue to work.
Yeah.
But most people don't take the time to set the goal and then make sure what they want to do fits into that framework of what the Prime Directive is.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why the very first thing I always like to ask my guests is about their goals. Because without that roadmap, you're kind of lost and going all over the place. Yeah. So at what point did you two realize that you needed some outside help? And how does your virtual assistant business tie into your portfolio?
Great question. So we had staff up until 2015. So we actually had, for 200 rentals approximately, we had at one point up to 7 people working in our business. And it just got really cumbersome. And again, it goes back to the Prime Directive. Like, what is it that we really want? Do we want to manage this huge gargantuous team, or do we just want to have enough income to support us and to have the lifestyle that we want? So through attrition and some other things, we got it down to 2 full-time employees back in 2011, 12, kind of in that downturn. And then in 2014, we took our first vacation in 7 years, and we got a text literally while we were down there that says, "I'm leaving and not coming back." This was a 4-year employee that had worked for us that literally walked out the door and left the phones ringing. And I was devastated. We ended up driving back early from our vacation and really trying to figure out, okay, this is not working. This is not what we want. This is not what we signed up for. What are alternatives? And we got introduced to the concept of full-time dedicated virtual assistants from the Philippines. And we thought,
wow, that could work.
That might work.
Yeah.
So like we always do, we both attacked that idea and concept and just punched holes in it every which way we could, try to figure out what could go wrong. We did our research on the IRS guidelines, and we really just kind of dug in, and we finally figured out all the things that we needed to know, and we hired our first virtual assistant 4 years ago. And that was a game changer for us. It made us love our business again. We were at a point where we were just like, this sucks. Like, this is terrible. And so by hiring a virtual staff member, we had all the benefits of an employee without a lot of the payroll costs, without a lot of the office drama. I didn't have to listen to who won the Bachelor that day. All of that stuff that kind of goes along with it. And we actually saved a little bit of cash as well. So, I mean, it wasn't all about the money. It was more about quality of life. For a lot of our clients, it's either about quality of life or they want to grow really rapidly. And the only way to really grow is to own a business, not a job. And the only way you can own a business is, to have people working for you in the same kind of direction.
About 6 months after we had taken on that virtual assistant, Teresa, she was wonderful doing things. We were happy, we're smiling again. We've been all depressed because somebody texted us while we're at the beach and things were bad, and, we're all down and out, and all our friends saw that. So we're at lunch with a couple of our friends, which are high-powered business ladies in this market, and they said, y'all are smiling again. What's going on? And so, well, we have this young lady called Teresa, and we had mentioned about VAs and virtual assistants along. They said, well, tell me about it. And so Anne pulls out her phone and essentially, gets it on Skype and says, Teresa, here, talk to our friends, and hands the phone over to our friends. And they start having a conversation, and they're like, wow, great English, really intelligent, speaks well, problem solving, all these things just came out of their minds. And they both said, I want one. And so kind of like where we had been asked by our friends to start a property management business because we were good at it, our two friends said, would you start a VA business and bring us? And they gave us a very short time period to do it. But we had to solicit, find them, recruit them, train them, deliver them, and get them working in a very short period of time. Yeah. So what we do? We tackled that, took it on, and it ended up starting a brand new business for us 4 years ago.
Yeah. And lots of our viewers are either new to real estate investing or they have a portfolio and they're looking to take it to the next level. Do you want to explain the differences or maybe the pros and cons of having an in-person staff member? Maybe somebody's looking to hire their first admin. Maybe the difference between hiring somebody, in the States versus somebody like a VA.
Okay. So, there's different types of virtual assistants. So there's task-based, so freelancers that can do a specific job. And so if you have what we call one-off tasks, that's probably the best place to go to Upwork,
business
Fiverr.
Card, website, whatever it is.
Yeah. So something that you do one and done, we recommend that you use freelancer. Then the next piece is kind of that call center. So if you've got a lot of phone calls coming in, or you've got a lot of maybe accounting work, there's individual companies that you can hire to do these types of tasks for you, and maybe you pay for them by the hour per, a couple hours per month or whatever.
So that's where you've sent out 10,000 cards and the phone starts ringing and you've got your regular job and you can't answer it, but you've got a script you need to go through because those were expensive cards. So you have somebody answer that call, go through the script and determine, is that somebody that really needs to sell at a deal and you want to go see them? So as a wholesaler or a buyer or a rehabber would do that.
So there are companies like Pat Live that does things like that. But eventually you get to the point, and that's kind of where we are, where we wanted a full-time dedicated team member, somebody that we could train, somebody that we could hire. We were used to hiring employees, so this was a no-brainer for us. But we wanted somebody that was really that team member, invested in us in the relationship, knew how to do things the way we wanted it to be done, and could work in our multiple businesses. And for that, we feel like we're the best people for that type of level of talent, right? Mm-hmm. Because we have a vetting process. We've got a lot of things that we save you from stuff you don't even know that you know.
So Hire Smart VAs, which is our company, it's there for people that are advanced, and you have to get to a point where you really can afford the equivalent. So you're growing your business and you're saying, I need to get these phone calls answered. I need to do this paperwork. I need to submit these offers, whatever it is. Anything can be done on a phone and a computer, you could get a VA to help. Now, if you need to go punch a job to make sure all the work was done by the contractor, plant a sign in the front yard, you're going to have to hire somebody locally to do that.
Yeah.
So when we're working with someone, what we tell them is look at what needs to be done. What's not getting done in your business that you don't want to do. First of all, I'm all about quality of life. And if you're doing stuff in your business that you hate, you need to get rid of that. some way, shape, or form, figure out how to get that off your plate. We're not here to serve our businesses. Our businesses are here to serve us. And so that's kind of the first thing. And then the next thing is, what are things that aren't getting done because you either don't have the skill set to do, or again, you don't really like doing it, but could make you more money if you were doing it. And that's kind of really where we tell people to start. As far as U.S. versus, global, whether it be Philippines, which is where we only source from the Philippines, or there's several other countries that you can do it as well. Again, as Mark mentioned, if it can be done with a computer and a phone, you might as well do it globally. However, one of the things I want to be really kind of cognizant of is the independent contractor rules still apply. I think a lot of people think, oh, they're in the Philippines, so they're independent contractors. No, not necessarily. So we actually are partnered with a staffing company in the Philippines so that we are always above board. We make sure that we, comply with the IRS guidelines of employee versus independent contractor versus, true outsourced staff.
Yeah. Gotcha. And so when you made the decision to start using VAs and kind of get rid of your in-person staff, how did that really help your business, and what changes did you see in your business shortly thereafter?
Well, again, I think for me, I'll let Mark speak for himself. For me, it was about less office drama. Certainly saving money was part of it, but we actually shared some of that money with our internal staff as well. So, we were able to bonus, we were able to do things. And again, it came at a time where real estate was kind of a little like in the mix. Like, it wasn't great, it wasn't bad. It was just kind of in this weird vortex of stuff back in 2014, 15. And so the reality for me is it allowed me also to be a better business. When you have staff members, whether they be virtual or in-house, it stresses your processes and procedures. And the more that you can use other people's time, the better off your business is going to be. So now we actually own a business and not a job. I can be gone. Mark can be gone for a week, 2 weeks, whatever amount of time. With minimal effort, the business continues to run. That isn't to say that it's all perfect. I mean, we certainly have areas of improvement, but I can tell you we're much further along today than most of our competitors because we have these types of documented systems and processes that are easy to follow.
Yeah, we wanted more free time for us. It wasn't all about money. It was about having some more flexibility and time. So we started with the VAs. Anne said it was great because it requires you to document how things are done. Yeah. And so we've got a way that we can document, get the VA involved in making the checklist. And then in theory, there's never another question, right? Well, it doesn't always quite work that way. But what we would do is we would go away for a week and see what fell apart and what broke. We got up to the point we were going for 3 weeks before something really fell apart and broke. And at that point, we realized we had a business because it could pretty much run without us. And that's what we were looking for. We were looking for that would provide us in the time. If we wanted to go on vacation to the beach, that we wouldn't be getting that text right after we get there to say, hey, you better turn around because somebody's just walked off the job. Yeah. So that was real important to get that time. It also allowed me more time to go out and do the things I wanted to do. I was doing a lot of renovations at the time. I had a lot of flips going on. We're trying to get more cash to buy more rental homes, right? And so I could spend more time going out and viewing and being involved in those and running things back in the office. That's my side of the business. And so it really freed me up from phone calls and being involved. And it's something that, like I said, it really helped us get better at what we were doing. And two, while I'm out in the field, if I need something, I can just pass that through to our remote staff. And by the time I get back in the office, because the house across the street looked like it was vacant. So I sent a message. And by the time I got back, it's vacant. They lived in Rhode Island and here's their information, and go ahead and send them a card because they may want to sell. And to have that kind of support was really just amazing for me to have.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth.
Yes.
So many investors try to do everything on their own and they don't have that system in place. And that's where lots of people get in trouble. I know I've interviewed a bunch of people where they got overworked, their portfolio fell apart just because they were trying to be a one-man show.
Yeah.
Well, and again, it's okay if that's really what you want to do, but it's going to limit your growth. You're never going to be, when it's all on your shoulders, you're never going to be able to blossom or grow because it's just dependent on you, which again, that's a personal choice. We work with lots of people that enjoy being a one-man show and doing it all because that makes them feel important. For us, we wanted free time. We wanted to be able to check out. We wanted to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labors.
I mean, we're headed on an 8-day cruise in a few more days, and we've got, probably 8 more trips around, I guess, for the rest of the year. We travel almost every month. And that we couldn't have had before if we were bound here to answer every phone call and deal with every work order and deal with every opportunity that comes up. Now, I may miss a few deals while I'm out of town. Right now, it's a little bit slow. We're saving money for what we believe is going to be a buying opportunity. We just don't know when. Yeah. It may not be a real buying opportunity, but that's what we're trying to do now. So we don't feel guilty about our travel. We just go and we enjoy ourselves.
Yeah. And I think you're going to make a lot of people watching this very, very jealous because that's the type of lifestyle that they want to have.
Well, and people say that and they say, we want what you have. Almost 20 years ago, we started. We both worked full-time corporate jobs when we did this. And we made commitments to each other that we could work those extra hours, 2 hours a day, 14 to 15 hours a week on this business, right? And we made those kinds of commitments and we looked at it and said, okay, we can do anything for 6 months. So we would make 6-month goals of doing what we needed to do to learn about real estate and start buying and start becoming better landlords. And we did that. And Anne left her corporate job 6 or 7 years ago.
2009.
9 years
so
ago.
9 years.
I left my corporate job 5 years ago. So think about that. We've done all this building. We've done all this development. We've got all these properties. We started a property management business. We started a virtual assistant business for the most part when we were working full-time jobs. What that means is you've got to put in a lot of effort. So people say, I want what you've got. Say, okay, are you willing to do what we did?
Which is work half days. And that doesn't mean 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's close to 12.
Yeah. And that's tough news. And not everybody can do that. Not everybody has that flexibility. Not everybody can make those kind of commitments. But if they do look at it and say, what can you bite off for 3 months? And you do it. Then 3 months comes up and you go, wow, I didn't really miss that much. I'm going to do it again for 3 more months. And suddenly those 3 months or 6 months at a time becomes 19, 20 years for us.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting way to look at it because most people, New Year's Day, they set their annual goal. I haven't really spoken to too many people who set that 3-month goal, and it sounds really interesting because, like you said, time flies by, and then you realize you've done it, and then you can just extend it for another 3 months.
Yeah. So we actually do our annual goals back in September. So we actually already had everything planned out for 2019 6 months ago. And the reason for that is because we evaluate it every 30 days and we commit to stuff for every 90 days. So again, it goes back to constantly looking at what's going on in the market, where do we want to go, what is it that we enjoy, and how do we get more of that? And what do we need? What resources do we need? But we still work really hard. We still put a fair amount of hours into the business, but it's not like work anymore. It's because we enjoy it and we're like, okay, we're successful. Let's see if we can crank it up a little bit more. So
and then when we want to, we can go away. We can do whatever we want to, head off for a trip somewhere and have that flexibility. And we would always, when we were coaching, we don't coach much now, but we were coaching people, we would encourage them to set those types of smaller goals because, to look at 1 year of doing something for a whole year, it's really tough.
Hard.
It's really tough. And if you bite smaller bites, you can chew it up a lot easier is how we look at it. Yeah. And, I hope this conversation we're having really inspires some people to do that. We put, our whole plan was together. The first book we wrote was about how we came about making the decision to get involved in the passive income and putting our plan of two properties a year for 10 years together. And we've done all of these things to inspire other people so that they can go out, do what they want to do, make it enjoyable, and make it supply for them financially for a long period of time. And that's what we really hope that your conversation with you today will inspire some people to do that.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure we have accomplished that. So that's great. So if somebody's looking to learn some more about your multiple businesses or about yourselves, where can they find you?
Well, probably the easiest one is to go to www.hiresmartvas.com. And if it's okay with you, we'd like to give them a free book called
Sure.
Multiply Yourself. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
So if they go to hiresmartvas.com/podcast, all they need to do is put in their email address and they will get our Multiply Yourself, which is our very first book on how to utilize virtual staff. We go through the employee side as well as the virtual assistant side. So it answers a lot of the questions you were asking.
That was our second bestseller on Amazon.
So, there we go.
Yeah. The first one was about investing in real estate. The next one was about starting our business and going through the evaluation of virtual assistants. What do you do? Not hiring your local neighborhood person that needs a job. And so we went through that whole thing and it became a bestseller.
Yeah.
So we'd love to gift it to you.
Oh, for sure. Well, I'll make sure we put a link right down below so everybody can just click and check it out.
Perfect.
Well, Anne and Mark, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your interesting story with us today.
It's been our pleasure, Seth, and we are thankful for the opportunity to get to know your listeners and you. And certainly if we can help in any way, people, if they really are interested more about hiring full-time, they can book an appointment with me too for a free consult. So.
But thank you for being there and getting the word out, not just us, but from so many people that are in this business that have really helped each other. So thank you, Seth.
Yeah, that's what real estate is all about. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.